Welcome to Cinema Express. Nanu A Sharadhaa. Today we are in conversation with filmmaker Rajbi Shetty, the creator of Vondu Mutte Kate, Garuda Gamana Vrishabha Vahana, and latest Toby. Billed as a revenge drama, the gritty settings, the music, the vibe, or the tone, Toby is set to offer the taste of it all. Namaskara, Toby avarige.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. A little tired with the promotions.
Basically, from the time of this inception of Toby, you have given reasons to create Toby. You have said why I am coming with Toby.
Yeah.
But if you want to set the record straight, what do you want to say?
Uh, I had the plans of doing this film called Toby even before, the incident that triggered this film. But it was in a completely different space. It had the same kind of climax, it had the same kind of experience, but I cannot tell that I really experienced what Toby would experience in his life. But fortunately for me, when I was trying to write something, the incident that happened around that time was exactly that Toby would face in his life, but in a very different perspective. And I was as helpless and I was as weak as Toby. But there is a dialogue in the film like ಕಣ್ಮುಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೇನೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಿತ್ತು ಬಟ್ ಅವ್ನು ಕಣ್ಣು ಬಿಟ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ. In the same way, me and my team use the same energy that actually made us helpless to actually show a film about a person who looks helpless but becomes a Mari in the end. I think it's kind of a meta film where I use the same experience that would actually drown a person to actually rise up from whatever the experience was.
If you would briefly tell us the origin of this story and how did you go get into it and the guidance you took towards creating of Toby?
The origin of Toby is actually, it's a short story from a writer by the name T.K. Dayanand. And when I read this story, I was very intrigued by the character of him because he was very simple and there was something unique about him. And I wanted to see him in a film. I wanted to know more about him. That is when I asked him can I actually write a screenplay for this film? He said, fine. And I also said but it might change many things in the story because it was an 8-page story. So it needs to change a lot. Would that be fine with you? He said, I want to see him in the film. So it is fine. So then he gave me what his Toby was in 4 pages.
If I can interrupt,
yes.
Because we also know and you have also admitted that your strength lies in writing.
Correct.
But still, you went with Dayanand's story.
Correct.
You could have also created your own Toby.
Correct.
But why did you go with Dayanand's story?
I think as writers, as creators, even though we claim that we are original, everything inspires us. For example, my bald head inspired me to do actually Ondu Mutte Kate. And my success and the whole conflict comes around the success made me to do Garuda Gamana Vrishabha Vahana. So if you ask me, that experience triggered me to write a story, right? I didn't create the conflict. I didn't decided to be a bald person, but my perspective towards the whole situation made me a storyteller and tell that story in a very different way. In the same way, when I read Toby, the short story, the character triggered here.
Okay.
There was something about him which was so much like he felt like one of us. But still, he had his own loneliness, he had his flaws, and he was a helpless character in many ways, but he was strong in his own way. This kind of a combination actually triggered my imagination like my bald head. If you can consider bald head as a subject, that triggered me to write a story. In the same way, without considering who the writer was, that character actually triggered me to write a screenplay. That is the reason. It is not I don't take from anybody. We take, but we don't remember where we are taking from. We take from our experience, and I took from my experience experience of reading Toby and grasping him, I created my own version of Toby.
Okay, now it is clarified.
Yeah.
Actually, I kept thinking it's fan and story and you.
No, 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 no.
Okay. Of course, you are the. Should I call it as a screenwriter or should I write as a writer?
A screenwriter would be fine, I think.
A screenwriter, actor, and co-producer. For Toby, how is it to be, part of too many things in a movie? And generally, I always think everyone says whenever, oh, my vision is to be an actor when I enter cinema. But Rajbi Shetty, when he entered cinema, he wanted to be all like.
No, I didn't want it to be anything. It's like, what do you call, like, you want to build a house. And you're trying to build a house. And then you build a house and people call like, who did the furniture work? What do you mean? Like, who did the stable? I did. Oh, you are the carpenter. So that name is new. I'm just doing the job of building a house. Oh, is it? Okay. Who did the painting job? What do you mean? Like, who painted? I painted. Oh, you are the painter. So it is 5 names for the same job. But every job has different assignments for sure. But because I enjoy what I do with this film, I think I don't mind taking those roles. But saying that, if there was somebody who would have promoted this film on behalf of my team, I would be very happy. I would have relaxed. I would have spent time with Midun, Praveen, post-production, like in everything. Now I have a team who take care of everything, who take every responsibility on their shoulder. And that is the reason Raj can take this role. So, like when I say
Roles.
Roles, yeah,
Yes, correct.
yeah. Like when I say, like, I am a co-producer of the film. One of my friend is taking care of the post-production. He's taking so strongly that, like, I just need updates. That's all. When you have team like this, people like this, I think you can take different roles.
But how did you enjoy this whole thing? Which was the best
Role?
actor, as an actor, co-producing
This
the
was
movie?
the best thing was for me for the first time. I think actor for the first time.
Uh-huh.
So if you ask about Garuda Gamana, I think I would tell that director was the very, very happy. But here, because the complication that role had, I would say that, like, actor was the happiest, the most contributed, and the hardest job that ever was the actors. Not even this promotion, like, role. The actor. For 40 days, I was so tired that I didn't want to do anything. I just want to sleep for 5 days and not wake up.
Also, yeah, now that you told me that you enjoyed acting, so when I see a Toby poster, I see that mixed of that innocent like sheep one side, and as ferocious as a Tagaru quality you have.
Correct.
If you want to explain about this.
I think that's Toby's quality. Even in the trailer, you see that, like, his smile and everything is so unadulterated. He smiles like a man. I really would love to smile like that. When people ask something, it is so very innocent. Because, like, when you have a purity in your ignorance, I think there is so much beauty to it. I think that is where I want to be a Toby. Like, I want to. That's the quality that is an aspiration. But saying that, he can be as hard, when it is needed or when the situation demands. So from sheep, he can turn into a Tagaru, but still he doesn't do something for the, like, benefit of him. When society actually uses him to gain their benefit, and in the process, when he loses everything for the society, I think he becomes that Tagaru.
Individually, you have given a lot of inputs to yourself to this character portrayal.
Correct.
That it's that so much of bata persona. You have there's so much of anger. Both you can see both the sides.
Correct.
Both you managed to give to yourself for this personality, and especially even having some filled hair on your head. How did you go about all this? If you want to share that little experience about your character when you actually wore that costume and you were in that character. If you
whenever I was in the costume, especially in the last part, I didn't speak much because that is one phase where he would lose all his communication because he doesn't want to talk anymore. So he is in that kind of a space. And even while I was performing that 6 days role, I never let anybody come near me. I always asked one person to take care of me. Whatever I want to say, commands and everything, I would, and I couldn't speak also because this was so big. And if I speak, this moves and this starts hurting. And then I would call him and ask Proin to come, ask Proin to come. That's the only tone I spoke. I think when you perform certain sequences of a character, it is very important for you to go to the mind space of the character. Like why the character feels that way and what is his education and where is he from, why does he feel that, and you need to know everything about the character. So every time that was the hardest thing, and I started with the most hard scenes initially, and then I came to the scenes which were lighter. And the reason we did the schedule like that was we knew that if we did this sequence in the end of it, we wouldn't have that much energy at all. We pushed all the energy, all the preparation for the toughest sequence, and then we actually made it smoother and smoother. But we couldn't stand. But for me, the preparation is going to the mind space of the character. For example, if I say, when Janardana of Ondumutte Kate walks, his left hand is very loose. The way it moves makes you, when you look at that kind of a person, you can actually sense this person is not very strong. This person is gentle. And Shiva's hand, actually he doesn't come with an open chest. No, not that kind of a demeanor at all. But his both hands are soft. I mean, loose. It shows that he's carefree. I think that is one dangerous quality about that person, carefree. But this person, what he was, I had to go to his mind space, because if you go to the mind space, then your body moves accordingly. You cannot plan the body movement. You cannot think that, okay, I'll lose my, when I see the film, I can actually recognize what is the difference. Oh, look at this, only left hand moves in the entire movie. Why does it happen? Because he is a character who is, kind of a weak person, and this person is a carefree, but he doesn't care, taka, 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 he walks. So I think you need to understand the mind space. Fortunately, because I'm the writer, while I'm writing, if I don't get the approach of the actor, I cannot continue. So that's the reason it's always a teacher to me, the writing process.
But also, every poster, the presence of the nose ring gives it all that, all attention goes to it.
Correct.
Do you feel even now that, after playing that role, and though you don't have the nose ring, do you still feel that presence while you're talking?
No, not now, not anymore, fortunately. Fortunately, because it's such a big presence. No, I don't feel the presence. But when I finished this film and went to Rudiram, I was like, this character has some trait. Whenever I was in front of this thing, I really thought, for example, I'm telling, if this character ties a ribbon to the left hand, whenever I went in front of the camera, I really was watching where is my ribbon? And then I remembered, oh my God, okay, I'm not playing Toby anymore. So that has the effect for a few days. And then I realized, no, that will be there. That will be there. That cannot go if the character is very intense. But 1-2 days, then you come to the senses that, okay, just because there is camera, you are not Toby. So you are completely a different person now.
I've also heard there's a lot of discussion about the unique tones, the comparisons made with your previous film, Garuda Gamana and Toby. Do you agree?
I wouldn't agree. If that is the case, I would have written the character. I wouldn't have got inspired from the character which I didn't write. So that simply shows the fact that, okay, the character was very different from Shiva. If that was the case, I would have written a character by the name of Shiva, and that would have been already, I didn't need to promote this much. So when it is Toby, I need to promote it from the beginning because it's a new character. So I understand why they are telling it, because in most of the trailer, the character is silent. He doesn't speak, just like Shiva. And he's wearing mundu and shirt. And it is because a cultural thing. They come from similar cultural background. In the sense, Shiva is from Mangalore and Toby is from Kumta. So the place is very identical. So these are the reason that, like, the similarities, and they have this quality of explosion. Like, they are very explosive in their expression. Maybe that is the reason they feel the same. But if you see the film, I don't think they both are the same at all, because the way they communicate, what they seek in life, how they talk, how they walk, how they are, is completely different. I don't think you will remember Shiva ever.
Okay. Also, whenever I talk to your team, the actors, they always have something special about you.
Oh,
In the sense, the working experience.
yeah.
Now, I want you to share with me the experience you had with the team while working for Toby.
Great actors, fantastic actors. Like, I had Chaithra Achar, who could actually change costume, like, 12 costumes in maybe half an hour or 40 minutes. I don't think anybody would do that. And with that, the range of emotions that she could bring into the film and character was something like, is a fortune to me, because that is where I live. That is where that's the only reason I live, to watch films which has, like, which I want to see. And then I have Gopal Krishna Deshpande, who plays the role of my friend, Toby's friend Damodar. And that character is, you can find these kind of people, Toby and Damodar, in any kind of village, because they are useless people to the whole village, but to each other they are of some value and some use, because nobody cares them. And even though he's from different cultural background, the way he brought essence to the character was so very amazing. And then I have Samyukta Hornad. Samyukta, like, her face, her tone, her voice, everything was actually so very helpful for the character, because Savitri, the character, had such a rough life and she has gone through a lot, experienced a lot. But right now, she is in a state where she doesn't give a damn about anything. So that kind of physicality and performance I wanted. I think she filled that shoes. And then I have Raj Deepak Shetty, and the dedication of that man, because he had another major Telugu film. He dropped that film so that he can be part of Toby. I think all these mad people filled their life and color and value to this film. I think that is why Toby is a rich film.
You have newcomers also.
Yes,
If you want to talk
Sandhya
about
Arekere, and she is the only lady in the trailer who gives punch dialogue. And she is new to films. She has done good films. She has done in photo and she has done in few films. I wanted a face which is new and which has seen poverty or struggle. If you see that face, you need to recognize that, yeah, this comes from a background where they have seen life. And whenever you give those kind of dialogue, the problem with those dialogues is it can actually sound very wrong, because if you don't tell it in the way it should, when it comes from the character's experience, it sounds so poetic and so beautiful. But if it comes from the, I want to manipulate the audience and make them feel this is a great dialogue, it's such a bad dialogue. And she handled that balance so well. And then I have Bharat. Bharat is a newcomer, and he's also acted as a lead in Sakutumba Sameta, and it is very kind of him to come and play this role of a police officer. Police officer who has not figured life. So, and then comes Yogesh Bankeshwar. He is the father in the that you see in the trailer, and that man was so very kind. Even when he was sick, because it was his first day, he was willing to come to set. Even when we said you can take rest, he came and performed. And when we see the film now, the film wouldn't have been what it is now without these actors. And then I have Snigdha, the Chotu kid. And the way she has performed, I think you need to watch her in the film. I'm so eager to show her. Let 25th come soon. That's all.
Okay, so you're a family man in Toby.
Yes. family man with real emotions.
Also, I just saw while I was seeing the posters, you just started liking the color of red, I think.
No, that's not that, I think.
So,
It's a marketing strategy in the sense whenever we use a theme to the poster or the promotion, even if a person who cannot read or write can recognize the color palette. If we use the theme of red and black, red and black, red and black, everywhere if you see red and black, the moment you see red and black, you'll recognize this is a Toby. And in Garuda Gamana, I had used blue and red. The moment you see blue and red, you will recognize that, Garuda Gamana, it is Garuda Gamana Vrishabha Vahana. That is like, because we don't release so many contents, we don't release so many videos. So these kind of ideas are so very necessary to me, so that actually whatever minimal approach that we do, minimal content that we leave, it will register in the head of our audience.
do you like serious films watching or only making? Because I know it's just 3 films old.
Yeah.
Even Toby, yeah, though, not Toby, sorry. Vondu Mutte Kate, it was a serious issue.
Correct.
And Garuda Gamana, of course. You, as an audience, like what kind of movies you like to watch? Making it's been like very serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't ask this question to me. Like, I love watching Hostel Hudugaru Bekagidara as well. I would suggest that, like, I would watch anything that is good. Anything that makes me, watch the screen for 2.5 hours. Anything which actually teaches me something about how to make film, how to engage the audience. So I don't mind watching a comedy or watching a serious film or anything, but it should hook. As a human being, I should laugh, cry, or do something.
Also, you have traveled with Mithun Mukundan
Correct.
and
Praveen
Praveen
Shriya,
Shriya.
correct.
You have to talk about that.
Definitely.
Because every time you mention, okay, did you, Praveen Shriyan, of course, the cinematographer is always next to you.
Correct,
Like, he's
correct,
been-
correct.
So, traveling with both of them.
I think we have grown together. So yesterday I was speaking to Midun. He said, like, when I saw Garuda Gamana, I was so scared because I didn't know, at that particular time of my career, I didn't know how to actually make music for Garuda Gamana Vrishabha Vahana. So now he is not at all that scared music director anymore, because he has done Garuda Gamana, done Rorschach, done many films. Even with Praveen Shriyan, like when I did Garuda Gamana, I was a very scared director because I didn't know how to make Garuda Gamana.
You're supposed to be here, no?
Who?
Praveen?
Praveen is actually in Cochin, he's working.
Okay.
So, and even including Praveen, like we are all scared kids, but we are not scared of failing. We are scared of making a film as good as we imagine. That is our, because we have done it so, we have imagined it so well. Let us do it well. I think because of Praveen Shriyan and Midun Mukundan, my film looks and feels and sounds the way it should. I think they are so very necessary for my film to be my film.
While you were talking, I just got back to the first question I asked you. There was a reason behind you creating Toby.
Correct.
There's always, they say, like, one watching a movie, they take away lessons and all. But
Correct.
This movie was done by you after lessons learned.
Correct.
What lesson was that when you created Toby? Not like after making Toby.
Correct.
While making Toby.
I think it's not because of the lesson. Maybe I would say that, there was huge amount of expression that I had to release, but I couldn't release because of, so many things. And that release had to happen. And I didn't know any other method or any other way.
You didn't know how to text or reply to the person or to anybody via reply or a speech.
Yeah, yeah.
You wanted to reply through a movie?
Yeah, because it's much more constructive. It's much more constructive. If there was any sense behind what had happened, I would have texted or, sent a voice message. When you don't make a sense, for example, till yesterday you are my friend and suddenly you are nobody, is something that you cannot speak about. And that is where I couldn't express myself and I was so very mute. And I use the same experience where a person is so very hurt and so very uh, feeling all the emotions, but he can't express. So fortunately, I found the right character being in the right space at the right moment, and I poured all my emotions through it. And also and the same thing, we wanted to make this film as good as possible, because the lessons that we learned, it had also involved few insults for my team, like so we had to stand as a team and show that, okay, even though you give us insults, even though you give us small kind of pains, so we would actually make a film with it. So that we did actually.
Will the audience get to know through your movie what was the message you're trying to convey?
I think
through Toby?
I think every human being has this, is helpless in his own way, because he cannot actually express what he wants to express. Through this film, I think I don't want to tell that, this is the person who did the wrong thing. That's the reason, I'm a good man. This person is a bad man, or that is not the idea. My idea is this. My idea is everybody feels this, in everybody when they are helpless. And most of us are helpless because of the society that we live in. We cannot express ourselves as deep as we can. But when Toby expresses himself, I think we find our catharsis in it.
So that's the message.
I think, yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for your time. And if you want to tell the audience, why should they watch Toby?
I think when I saw film in Bhadravati when I was a kid, I was a curious kid who came to the darkest, room with so much curiosity, and I was always mesmerized by what I saw, because cinema always engaged me, because I could cry, laugh, cheer, hoot for the character who is not at all related to me, but he was so much in relation with me because he was me. I think Toby will resonate with you in that sense, where he feels like you, and you can express through him. So come to theatres on August 25th, and also Saptasagara is reaching to you on September 1st. Watch all good contents in theatre. Thank you.